Yesterday's prophecies, today's headlines. This is the Hal Lindsey Report. And now, Hal Lindsey.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Hal Lindsey Report. For political reasons, Washington has been abuzz in recent months about something called the war on women. When they use that phrase, politicians are usually referring to any effort to restrict abortion in any way. Ironically, when it comes to actual violence against women, nothing else comes close to the violence involved in abortion. It rips apart both boys and girls, but millions more girls than boys. In the natural scheme of things, there's a roughly 50-50 chance of having a baby girl or baby boy. But abortion dramatically changes those numbers. In a recent study of immigrant families in Britain, it showed a significantly higher rate of male births, suggesting that thousands of female babies were aborted last year as a means of sex selection. In India and China, as many as 140 boys are born for every 100 girls. That doesn't happen naturally. It's happening because they're aborting baby girls. It's shocking that the war on girls starts with one of feminism's proudest accomplishments, abortion on demand. Abortion harms the woman who makes the choice. It harms her physically, mentally, and spiritually. It kills the unborn child, and it kills far more girls than boys. But that's just the beginning of the war on girls. In the name of equality with boys, girls are being pushed toward the lowest common denominators. There was a time when, generally speaking, girls' language was more circumspect than that of boys. Not anymore. To be equal with apparently now means to be as bad as. Ironically, much of that language is misogynistic in nature. Now, that big word means hatred toward women. Courage and resolve are often crudely associated with body parts found only on the male. People who display fearfulness or weakness are sometimes crudely and euphemistically compared to female genitalia. Hollywood leads the way in using such women-debasing terminology, and they love putting those words in the mouth of the girls' characters. There was a time when college drunkenness was primarily the realm of the male. But now, co-eds are just as likely to be passed out drunk as their male counterparts. The federal government recognizes rape on campus and in the military as epidemic. Both of these institutions are well known for drunkenness. Feminists are right when they say that the way a girl dresses or the fact that she has passed out at a party does not in any way excuse rape. Taking advantage of someone who is passed out is as bad as forcing someone who's awake. It's rape either way and should be repulsive to everyone. But the feminists are wrong to tell girls that how they behave does not have an effect on their vulnerability to rape or to the likelihood of it. It shouldn't, but in the real world, it most certainly does. Now, I don't say that to make victims of rape feel like it is in any way their fault, but I do want women to be smart and limit their vulnerability. Encouraging girls to be more like boys at their worst has made girls more vulnerable to boys at their worst. Perhaps the most egregious part of the war on girls and women comes from the religious and political ideas collectively known as Islam. As Sharia law spreads across the world, it encourages Muslim men to more closely follow the Quran and the Hadith and treat their women as the equivalent of goats. We're horrified when we hear Boko Haram leader Abu Bakr Shakal say, "I will marry out a female at 12. I will do the same for a 9-year-old girl." But from the point of view of someone who really believes the Quran and the Hadith, what he says makes perfect sense. You see, Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl, but he did wait before living with her as his wife until she was a ripe old age of 9. In Islam, women are property, first of their fathers, then of their husbands. You've probably heard about Miriam Ibrahim, a Christian woman living in Sudan. She was born to a Christian mother and a Muslim father. The father left when Miriam was 6 years old. Her mother raised her as a Christian. When she grew up, Miriam became a doctor and married a Christian man, Daniel Wani, a U.S. citizen. They had their first child, Martin, almost 2 years ago. During her second pregnancy, as Daniel was about to bring Miriam and Martin to the United States, a family member, CNN reports that it was her brother, informed on her to the authorities, and they arrested her for heresy. In Islamic law, if her father was a Muslim, then she is a Muslim. It doesn't matter that he left when Miriam was 6. It doesn't matter that she was raised a Christian and publicly claims to be a Christian. It doesn't matter that she believes the Bible, not the Quran. It doesn't matter that today she is a fully adult 27-year-old physician. A female belongs to her father until ownership is given to another Muslim man. So the court annulled her marriage, then sentenced her to 100 lashes for adultery. Now, how's that for justice? But it gets worse. They gave her until May 15th to renounce Christianity and convert to Islam or be executed. On the 15th, Miriam Ibrahim stood in court and declared, "I am a Christian and I am not an apostate." The court responded by sentencing her to death by hanging. Her 20-month-old son has been living with her in prison, and according to the father, is not doing well there. Both she and the boy have suffered several illnesses as a result of the prison's horrible, unsanitary conditions. On May 27th, she gave birth to a baby girl, Maya, while in a prison cell with her legs still shackled. With worldwide publicity and threats by the British, not the Americans, to cut off aid, the government of the Sudan announced on May 31st that she would be released in a few days. Officials did not confirm this to her husband. Miriam had spent the last 4 months shackled to the floor. At one point, some in the Western press were actually questioning whether she had really been raised as a Christian. Guess what? It doesn't matter. What matters is that she chooses Jesus. She showed herself willing to die rather than renounce him. Instead of admiring her courage and resolve, they wanted to kill her. I'm glad that someone stood up for Miriam, and she may gain her freedom at last. But there was no time for the world to intervene in the plight of Farzana Parveen. The pregnant Pakistani woman's crime was that she married the man of her choosing, not the man her father had chosen. Police said he admits to leading a mob, including other family members, in bludgeoning her to death with bricks. He said it was an honor killing and he has no regrets. How common are wife killings and honor killings in Pakistan and other Muslim countries? Well, no one knows. Official records are slim. After all, they're women, and Islam values women no more than it values goats. Now, misogyny is the fancy word for hatred of women. You've probably heard it before, but have you ever heard of the word misandry? It means the same thing, except the hatred is now for men. Even though we rarely hear the word, we often see the hate. The anti-women screeds of Santa Barbara mass killer Elliot Rodger has feminists up in arms, not just in anger at Rodger, but all men. Never mind that he is dead and it's too late for them to straighten him out. Never mind that of the 6 people he killed, 4 were male. Never mind that he was crazy as a loon. Washington Post film critic Ann Hornaday blamed the killing spree, at least partially, on white men running Hollywood. For generations, mass entertainment has been overwhelmingly controlled by white men whose escapist fantasies so often revolve around vigilantism and sexual wish fulfillment. When Ms. Hornaday blames males as a group, that's sexism. When she blames whites as a group, that's racism. So to fix the problem of extreme sexism, she thinks the answer is more sexism with some racism thrown in for good measure. Among the hardcore feminists, there seems to be a sense that not just one man was responsible for the killing in the Isla Vista, but all men. We live in an era when maleness itself is under attack, especially in schools and in the media. In her book, The War Against Boys, Christina Hoff Sommers wrote, "It's a bad time to be a boy in America. In school, if a boy makes a pretend gun with his finger and says, 'bang,' he can expect not just a reprimand, not just a talking to about the evils of guns, but he can expect to be suspended. All kinds of normal boy behaviors are now punished, and worse yet, there's an attempt to control such behavior with drugs. If children don't behave in the politically correct manner, schools are forcing parents to medicate those kids into submission. It's happening to boys and girls, but the numbers for boys are much higher. For a long time, educators have been taught that girls are systematically shortchanged in school. They attend seminars on the problem. They're given pamphlets and books on how to make sure girls get at least an even break. At one time, those things may have been needed, but not anymore. Since 1991, female enrollment in college has been higher than the male enrollment, and the numbers skew over toward girls every year. About 60% of all bachelor's degrees now go to women. Traditionally, boys have done better than girls at math. Now the percentages of boys and girls scoring proficient or higher in math are about the same. It's not the girls have improved, but the boys are doing worse. In reading, boys lag behind girls in every state where such statistics are available. This has always been somewhat true, but today the gap is growing. One reason is the politically correct material they're assigned to read. The NEA's Mark Bauerlein and Northwestern University's Sandra Stotsky report that at the elementary school level, few strong and active male role models can be found as lead characters. Gone are the inspiring biographies of the most important American presidents, inventors, scientists, and entrepreneurs. No military valor, no high adventure. On the other hand, stories about adventurous and brave women abound. To discourage boys from reading handicaps them for the rest of their lives.